Psych and Savory. And I'll be the moderator today for our entrepreneurship panel. So we have students joining us virtually and in the room. And let's give a big round of applause for all of our speakers here today. Perfect. So I'm just going to introduce our 4 speakers. When I say your name, if you wouldn't mind just raising your hand and giving us a wave. So we have Sheena Russell, founder and CEO of Made with Local. Perfect. We have Megan Simmons, owner and operator of Halifax Charcuterie. We have Jamie Wentzel, owner of Organic Earth Market. And we have Shivani Dhamija, founder of Shivani's Kitchen. So very food themed today, which I'm sure we'll all appreciate. Exactly. We'll be hungry after this. Perfect. So the way these panels typically go is I'll pose a question to our panelists and everyone will take a turn answering, and then there'll be a bit of time for questions from students at the end. So first question, if you could please briefly describe your current position and the organization that you work with. And whoever would like to start. Thank you.
So I'm Sheena Russell.
Yes.
I'm Sheena Russell. I'm founder of Made with Local. We are a purpose-driven snack foods company here in Halifax, well, technically Dartmouth. And I've been doing this for 10 years. Pass it on to you, Shivani.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Shivani Dhamija, and I'm founder of Shivani's Kitchen. We make ethnic products and we supply to all across Sobeys and Superstore in Atlantic Canada. We started with a very small spice business in pouches, and that's where we started, I think, 5 or 6 years ago. Yes. So now it's 2022. And with that, I'll pass it on to you.
Hi, I'm Jamie Wentzel. I own Organic Earth Market over on Quinpool Road. I carry both of their products. I also own CTL Distributors, which is a wholesale produce company that distributes produce throughout HRM to bars and restaurants. So it keeps me busy.
And I am Megan Simons, again, owner operator of Halifax Charcuterie. I guess I'm the baby of the group. I'm still in startup. So it's been about 7-8 months since I've officially launched. It's going well, but we'll get into a bit more so questions come through.
Wonderful. Thank you all. Perfect. So moving to the next question, did you always plan on becoming an entrepreneur? When you graduated from high school or post-secondary, could you see yourself running your own business?
Never. I always saw my parents working 9-to-5 job. Like my mom was a housewife and my dad 9-to-5 job, government job, Sunday off. I want to do his job, but never saw it. But I think there was always, always a passion to do something by my own. Whether it was like anchoring, do like part-time day-to-day jobs. And I always used to love challenges. And I think it was like not even visioned, but it was in my destiny. Yeah.
So I went to St. Mary's, lots of friends went to the Mount, but I absolutely could not have imagined starting or running a business. Just never crossed my mind until the last couple of years. Was kind of really, I was encouraged, I'll say, that it would be a good idea. So I'm here now, but I do enjoy the freedom that running a business provides me as far as time goes. 9-to-5 I do enjoy, but I definitely use all of my paid time off, which you work for it. So I definitely like the flexibility and being able to do what I want to do when I want to do it with the business.
Sounds like no one starts out to be an entrepreneur. That includes me as well. So I was at St. X. And he said, well, that would give you the base to get out there into business and do your own thing, control your own destiny. And I just took his word for it. And I switched over into accounting and went from there, went on to Grant Thornton, went to a couple other companies. And then after preparing other people's financial statements, I kind of got to thinking, geez, maybe I could do this, you know? So when I was working for someone else, I always had the thought, here I am helping this guy make money. What if I could do it myself? And that's what led me into buying 2 companies.
And I'll continue on with the trend. Absolutely never saw myself as an entrepreneur. I grew up in rural PEI. My family are farmers. My dad's a baker by trade. So that's kind of like my roots, which have come together in Made with Local for sure. I went to Dal, did an environmental science degree, a Bachelor of Science in environmental science, and then found myself working for the city of Halifax and was super bored in my dusty government job but was, enjoying the paycheck and the paid time off and all that stuff. But what it did give me the space to, I think, was to get really creative, and Made with Local was totally started as a side hustle. Like, it was never really dreamt to be anything more than a farmer's market table, but it had its own legs, and at a certain point started taking off. So it kind of felt like grabbing the tiger by the tail was the right thing to do. But it was not the game plan when I was in school.
Thank you. So consensus, nobody started out to be an entrepreneur. So what was your motivation of starting the business that you're in now? And why did you choose to start that business?
I'll keep chatting. So sorry, can you say that again?
So why did you, what motivated you to start the business
Motivation,
that you're
okay.
doing now?
Yeah. So like I mentioned, I was working a government job. In 2012, I was a recent grad, and my friend and I were gym buddies, and we would go to the gym together all the time, and also we're food lovers, and realized at that time in 2012, the only real like energy bars or kind of handheld snacks that you were finding at the grocery store were like Cliff bars and nasty protein power bar stuff. There absolutely was not the huge, 40-foot energy bar section that you see at Superstore and Sobeys today. So we thought that, it'd just be fun to bring something better to Halifax. And this is also right around the, I would say, the uptick in interest in local food. So the Seaport Farmers Market was just really ramping up. There were more urban farmers markets launching in the city, and it was just, the trend was happening, and we saw this opportunity to take an existing gap in the market, which is really nourishing, actually delicious snacks, and pair that with a commitment to local sourced ingredients. And it was just the right combination of features at the right time that, gave us that big aha moment and led us to taking that leap to start at the farmers market.
Thank you.
Okay, so I was working at Grant Thornton, did my 4 years there, got my CA or CPA, I guess now. And I thought, I don't see myself as a partner in these firms. I wanted to do something else. So I went to work for an international real estate company with lots of entrepreneurial roots, and led that company for a number of years until we started to downsize. And my job was going to be relocated to PEI, and nothing against PEI, but I didn't necessarily want to move there. So that was kind of the push that it took to say, you know what, maybe now's the time. Now's the time to see what's out there. So I started asking around about different companies for sale, and I heard through the grapevine that Organic Earth was for sale, and I thought, well, now's my time. So I jumped in and bought it.
Can I do a follow-up question if you don't mind?
Of course.
So you're very interesting to me, just listen. So I teach entrepreneurship, so that's who most of these people are. So you buy.
Yes.
So buying is interesting. Buying potentially it's somebody else's vision that you're taking over, which can be good or bad. And because you're an accountant, I'm sure you paid it, you got a good price, but just what was it like? You're sort of stepping into somebody else's situation.
Absolutely. So I wanted to buy a business. I didn't have my sights set on a health food business. It didn't matter to me at that point. Never. No, I knew I didn't want to go through the long period of entering the market, building the company up. I wanted to buy something that was already established. But in saying that, you're taking over, someone else's business that you don't want to screw it up, but yet you want to change things around a little bit. So you're making little changes as you go, and you're figuring things out. So you are doing entrepreneurial things and you're solving problems, but not like these guys that started right from scratch and brought a product to market.
Were you
It's
nervous changing things?
100%, because you buy this company and that's where my accounting background came in, and I knew what it was worth. I knew the revenues, I knew the expenses, I knew all of that. But it was like, okay, now I need to take this and I need to grow. I needed to improve the margin. I need to do different things. But you didn't want to get in too fast and make too many changes. You had to just kind of, okay, I'm just going to try this one and see what happened. Then I'm going to try this. And
We had a guest speaker our last class. It was Tanya King, who owns Maurizio, and
Yeah.
she purchased it from Stephanie Maurizio Bertossi.
yes,
And she was like, this is Halifax's beloved birthday, anniversary, special occasion restaurant. And all of a sudden she's here and goes, I don't want to screw this up. Like she was
Yeah.
really, really nervous to screw it up. I'm sure you've all been there, but she was so nervous to screw it up.
yeah, that's a valid point. Absolutely.
So motivation came by way of strong encouragement. That's the politically correct way to say that, from friends. Started at just potlucks and girls' nights with the friends. I was like, oh, I'll make charcuterie. So kind of throughout the pandemic, we safely had our bubble. We got together, and I would always make charcuterie. And they're like, you need to get it together and start selling these. And I was like, no one's buying this. Nobody buys charcuterie. It's cheese. You can go to the store. Everybody can go to the store. And they're like, no, you need to do this. So I was like, yeah, I hemmed and hawed about it until one of them came to my house one evening, and they were flying overseas the next day and like, we're launching your business tonight. And I was like, no, they're like, yep, we are. So she came over, set up her laptop. She's like, nobody has the name Halifax Charcuterie. It's yours. Lock it in, set up the Instagram, get the Gmail, go see if you can get a site. And I launched December 21st of 2021, officially launched, registered March. But yeah, I ran off my feet that week, Christmas to New Year's. But just like I said, strong encouragement and them kind of being like, you can do this. We got together a pricing plan, like kind of November, December, and they're like, this is it, take this and see what you can do with it. We'll support it, like if you need us to, whatever. And that's kind of where it came from. So they're my board of directors unofficially.
Sale, and that wasn't that.
Oh, I offered different sizes. It was a date night. So for 2 to 3 people, the price at the time was, I think, $30. As business owners in charcuterie, I'm sure like she was nuts. I was at the time. Yes. Yeah. Yes. So yeah, I mean, I was just like, oh, like we'll see pricing, but yeah, $30 date night. There was an extra, like I think extra $10 for delivery. And I was just amazed. I was like, how did they find me? I don't know how they got me. It was like my first cold market client, where they had no connection to anybody I knew. They didn't know me, my family, friends, or anything. So that was kind of like a aha winning moment. Like, okay, I can do this. People will find me. It's not just going to be friends and family, though it's nice. You can't necessarily always rely on them to support your business. You want to get into a cold market or people that don't know you. So that was really rewarding within like the first 2 weeks of seeing that I don't know this person, but they trust me enough to order through my business, new business. So that was nice.
Did they have a second date?
So they were married, but so they were customer turned clients. So I consider clients more than 2 orders or more. That is a fair point. I will take that. That is the way. Yes.
Thank you.
I think for me, my consumers are my motivation. It started completely as a side hustle, but the consumers, they started asking, they liked the product, they started asking for more. Then I saw an opportunity and then I went for more. Then they asked for more. And that's exactly how it's like I started my business in 2014 with very tiny meal delivery services. And every time consumers like the product, I listen. And that's what exactly my motivation is. Actually, whenever I go out, meet people at trade shows, they are so excited to see Shivani. And I'm really happy to see those beautiful eyes when they excited to see my business, see me, see us growing. So that's what is motivating me. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. So our next question is, as we all, I think, so most people are in the entrepreneur class, is that correct? Yeah, perfect. So we are wondering, what would be an advantage and a disadvantage of being an entrepreneur, in your opinion?
I'll go for this one. I'll tell you the biggest disadvantage. You don't get paid bi-weekly. Okay. There's no bi-weekly check coming to your account. And you just keep on working hard and hard and hard. And then that's the disadvantage. The advantage is that, yes, you are your own boss, but there are there's no exactly advantage and disadvantage. I feel like right now, I feel it's a job and I have to do it. And it's a challenges. It's just that it keeps me alive right now. That's what I feel. The challenges of every night I go to sleep with probably some disappointment, probably with some happiness, but the next day is a new challenge and a new opportunity. So that's it. You have to convert your disadvantage into your advantage. Not exactly. That's it.
I would say it's definitely an advantage for me. I'm still working full time. So if you start a business, even you have a job, don't quit your job. It's gonna suck initially. It's gonna be long days, but it's worth it. But I would say the advantage is gonna be like opening up into more free time, and also like just I guess ties into your last question too, like bringing a product to like different communities that would have never maybe tried things. You know, a lot of people, you go to the store, you see food and you're like, I don't know what that is. I don't want to eat that. So an advantage for me kind of personally tied in is like presenting something new to people that wouldn't necessarily try something, and getting them, you know, to just kind of throw away what they think of food and what they think they know or what they like, kind of just having that option or opportunity to present them with something new and have them trust me. So the disadvantage though is it's a long list. It's more disadvantages. Initially starting out, I wouldn't trade it for the world, but would be kind of the long days. Like I could work maybe an 8-10 hour day, but I know like if I have orders I need to get out, I'm very much looking forward to the end of that 8-10 hour day at work to get the orders out and to get them taken care of. But kind of as I get to where the rest of the panelists here are, I think it'll open up into like just different freedoms to do different things with the business, to also potentially sell my business, maybe acquire another business. So I say the advantages starting out will probably be less, disadvantages maybe a bit more, but in the end, you'll see it can start to balance out. Then the kind of further you get, the advantages start to stack up higher.
The advantage is you're in control of your own destiny. The disadvantage is you're in control of your own destiny. So it's great that you can come in and make your own money and do everything, and it's cool at first, and you're like, okay, I can write myself a check and do all this, but at the end of the day, then you're a troubleshooter, and some days you don't have as good a sales as the next day, and you have to figure out, well, what happened. One day some of your employees maybe don't show up and you have to figure out what you do there. Products, margins, there's every day there's something to do, and you can't plan it. You try to, but every day there's something different. So as I always say, there's always a solution, and I try to tell my employees, try to figure it out on your own, make mistakes. If you have to make mistakes, that's fine, but at least try it. Make a decision and go from there. So I like the fact that I can make the decisions along with my employees, but it is scary sometimes because you do wonder, is this the right thing? I don't know. So it's good and bad. And it doesn't stop at 5 o'clock. So some jobs, you know, you go home, you just, okay, shut your brain off and that's it. You're always kind of thinking about the next day, or did I do this or did I do that? So it can be quite consuming. And then with COVID and the way things are now, I think most owners would say you had to jump more into the business and maybe get into the weeds a little bit more, as opposed to staying high level, because you need to help your businesses. So.
Yeah, what he said. Literally all of that. Yeah, you summed it up perfectly. It's like that's like the two sides of the coin, is that there is full control and autonomy And I would say I struggle with the word freedom a bit because like, yes, you are setting your own schedule and that, but what's often happening in my business anyway is that freedom means that you're free to work 7 days a week, 10 hours a day. That's the like season of life that I'm in my business right now. It's really intense and we're growing quickly. So but and then the flip side of that is that you are ultimately responsible for, me, we're a team of 12 now at Made with Local, which again, we went from like 4 to 5 employees to 12 in the matter of 6 to 8 weeks. Are in the middle of a huge growth spurt right now. So that feels like a lot of responsibility, and when you start out making a granola bar company at the farmer's market, you don't necessarily envision, and I didn't necessarily envision someday that we were going to be like a multi-million-dollar business with, dozens of staff and a production facility and all that jazz. So if you start the right business, things will get out of hand quickly and in a positive way. But it is, one of the biggest challenges I would say is learning how to pace yourself and also knowing, on the self-care side of things, which is a big topic nowadays, how to rest in order to make sure you have the energy and the wherewithal to like, go full on to the pace of the business as it needs.
Can I ask you a question? Sorry, I'm the only one.
No, that's okay.
Go on. So a couple of things. I find it interesting. So like you're in food or to that lane. So Tanya said last week that so I'm going to ask you a question. Do you have a mentor? Because there's a lot for you to think about. But the other thing that she said, so her mentor is the owner of Maritime Beauty. And he said his business is amazing because everybody buys his product, makes themselves look beautiful. Then they have a shower and wash it all down the drain. So, and then they do it again. So if you think about food, everybody has a charcuterie board for date night, but they go on a date night like once a week, or they get groceries once a week, or they go to the they make a special meal once a week. I have your granola every single day, which is so like your consumable. So like how does is that a blessing? Is that a curse? And like do you have a mentor? Like who do you like? I assume you all have days that are every once in a while you need to talk to a neutral third party. Like do you have a neutral third party that you can just sort of say, hey, what do I do?
Chime in on the consumables piece as the first part is so interestingly, we've played and Made with Local in different categories of food. So everybody knows us for our real food bars, like you mentioned, lots and like literally thousands of Canadians eat them every single day. We've also played in the baking mix category, which with our granola bar mix, it's like a dried mix that you add peanut butter and honey to, and it makes your own bars at home. Pantry staples and baking mixes and that sort of stuff is a much lower velocity product, right? It's a pantry staple. Oftentimes people buy it and throw it in their cupboard. They forget about it for a few weeks, or, they buy it once a month, or it's just a totally different type of product. And spices would be kind of similar, right? Like you buy a packet of curry powder or curry blend and you pick away at that for a course of a couple of months, right? Typically, maybe not everybody, but in my house, that's usually how it goes. So you have to kind of play in these different, if you're in food, I'm speaking very specifically to my business, we've learned to, strategize in categories that have high velocity. And what also then you see is that the bar category is so friggin' competitive because it's such a high velocity category. And if you do it right, you're going to sell a lot of bars and you're going to, grow your business. So that's like an interesting point to make for sure.
He's like, listen, like everybody buys all my stuff to make themselves look beautiful. They have a shower and wash them, right?
Yeah.
Like
back to square one.
Everything he sells, that gets washed down.
Yeah. That's so crazy. And then on the peer support side, so I'm actually in a coaching group. It's like a peer leadership forum, and there's I think 8 or 9 of us in the group, and we meet once a month for half a day and talk about, personal life. We call them like, we've a buckets of life sort of concept where you do talk about your personal life, you talk about your mental health, you talk about your family, and you talk about your business. And once a month, we all have the opportunity to sit around a big table together and go deep on those things. And it's really important. So
it's really valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. And mentorship, especially in the early days, I think is really helpful because it's going to help you hopefully save time and save money on some of the mistakes that people have already made. Like if you can hack some of the common mistakes in early entrepreneurship, then you'll be able to kind of save yourself some suffering. So mentorship in the early days is super important too. Yeah.
So similarly to the hair products and makeup, produce rots, it gets old. So on my produce side, I sell a lot of tomatoes and Spanish onions and lettuce. And you say, well, if the customer orders too much, that's fine. They're coming back next week because I have to give them new product. The problem is the cost of produce these days. So where a case of lettuce, 4 months ago could be $60. This morning it's $160. So I have to deal with customers, restaurants that have a fixed menu, all their, and they need romaine lettuce. They call me up, Jamie, I need 2 cases of lettuce delivered. And then you hit them with the invoice and they're like, oh my God. So once they do their research, they say, okay, yeah, no, you know what? Your price is actually pretty good compared to someone else. So it's trying to stay in touch with the customer, educating the customer. Everyone knows the cost of products are going up, the price of diesel fuel, but they don't really pay attention until it hits them in their pocketbook. So it's a challenge. We don't like to charge those prices on the produce side, but you have to, and then it'll settle back, and then it kind of goes in spurts.
So if I own a restaurant, like I have menus that are printed, and the cost of my seasonal
Yes.
salad is, $15.
That's right.
Printed on the. So whether you're charging me 160, 80, 90, so it says $15 on. Like I don't reprint my menus every.
We used to change our prices once a week. And we get into it, and we had to do twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week, because every day there's a truck coming in from Montreal with a different price. It's almost like the stock market a little bit. So we try to hold our price as long as we can for our customers, but sometimes you can't. On the mentorship piece, sometimes it's a bit cliche, but sometimes it is a little lonely at the top. And when you first buy in or you start a business, some people that own businesses aren't as forthcoming, they don't want to give away their secrets. So I have a few friends that have businesses, and I ask them lots of different questions. And even though they're in different industries, a lot of times the same questions come around, and so they can give you their experience and all that. And my wife helps me out a lot too. So she comes at it from a different perspective, and I can bounce things off of her. And she doesn't have the accounting mindset, and so which is very helpful. I'm accounting and fix it, and she's more, well, have you thought of this? Like, no, I don't use that side of my brain. So
I will say starting a mentor is crucial. I got hooked up with one through a different Scotiabank Women in Business Initiative. I worked for Scotiabank as well. That's my day job. So I had no idea, because I'm on the personal side, they had that program. So I got a mentor. Ironically, she's not in Nova Scotia. She's in New Brunswick. There wasn't a mentor in the program that was in Nova Scotia that was in food. So she's from New Brunswick, but she's been instrumental in like even the kind of things I've changed and the growth I've had from spring to now. So having that starting out was really important to me. I don't come from a friend group or a family with business owners. I'm one of one in my friend group and family. So it has been lonely at times because they kind of don't get it. They're like, oh, you should just leave that alone. Like just work. You work. It's a good job. You get paid like every couple of weeks. And I'm like, I don't want to be here forever. I don't want to be like a lifer here. The bank is a great job. It's not bad. It's just, I know what I want to do and kind of where I want to take my business. So having somebody who's gone through the growing pains and understands and wants to give back, they don't want to gatekeep the information, has been instrumental in kind of where I am now and even like the trajectory of where I'm going. So people who do want to give back, like I would love to get there. I don't think I have much to offer yet, but kind of once I get there, I'm looking forward to give back to other business owners, like help them get their business started. Funding your business to register it is often a big hurdle too. So I'd love to start doing that once I get to a point where I feel I have enough to offer and can do so comfortably. As far as like consumer goods, I studied psychology. That was my major. So any of our products, marketing and buying things, it's all about the experience. So my tagline is forget you're at home. So, you might feel like you're in France, you're in Italy, you're having cheeses and meats, you might have it with wine. So I offer wine pairings, unless you know what you might want to drink with it. So it's kind of all about how do you feel when you eat this food? How do you feel when it's presented to you? So yeah, you feel great when you put it on, you wash it away, but a lot of marketing and how we consume things is tied to how it makes us feel, why we're consuming it, or what it represents that we have it, or we're enjoying it, or we're sharing it, because we're very social community now, like everything's online. So it's like, oh, look at this. I have this locally made granola bar. It's like sourced well. The ingredients are good. It actually tastes good. I made this meal. Look, I have like these spices. I've used these sauces. I followed the instructions. It's great. I went to a local organic market. You know, I'm able to have the privilege and opportunity to eat here and eat well. Like, look at this. And same with charcuterie. I have charcuterie. It's very much tied to charcuterie means like cured meat. It's tied to France and Italy and a few other countries, but they're all very much tied to experiences and signals of like, not so much wealth or riches, but just it's tied to how you feel and having like a, almost like an exclusive kind of feeling to like, oh, I have this, I can do this. This is how, and it makes me feel good that I can do this. So I think although people are consuming it and it's gone, you know, you eat, it's gone, you put it on, it's gone. It's still how that makes that person feel and how they're able to show how they feel to other people that makes them kind of want to come back and then spread, you know, I did this, it was nice, it felt good, I made me feel good, I ate this. So I think although it's scary, very risky when you're working in food because people can go anywhere and eat, but kind of it's how you make them feel and how like your products and what your brand represents, I think that brings them back.
So for me, mentorship is really important. I think every part of my business, I have always had a mentor. Right now, I have like 2 mentors, and I just had a meeting with someone at 9 a.m. in the morning. It really helps, especially when you're in a business, you do not know, you don't have answers to some of the questions. And especially my mom and dad, because they've never been into business, they don't know where to direct me. So sometimes you just, if you can ask your mentor, can you help me with like taking a decision? They will not exactly like tell you what to do, but they will guide you. Yeah, you can think about this part. And it's like brainstorming with your friends, brainstorming with someone who's not your friend. So that really helps me in my business. For your other part, like spices, yes, they go in a cupboard and they stay there. And so that's how my product industry, I understood my consumers. So the spices, I understood that the consumers buy like once in 6 months, especially because they were ethnic spices like curry or garam masala. Canadians do not understand what to do with those products. So they probably buy once in 6 months. Then I brought up the product ready to use sauces, which people started buying like once in 3 months. But then I launched another product called paneer. It's an Indian cheese. And I am overwhelmed with that product because that's like a chicken to a regular Canadian. So for immigrants like us, we eat paneer like all the vegetarians, I think once a week or twice a week. So I make like 250 kgs of paneer every week, which is less. So every product is different. It's just, and so understanding the consumer, understanding the market, what product will be bought within how many days, it's all psychology. And yeah, it's a very important part of your business, I think.
Thank you. Perfect. So we've touched on it a little bit already, but we did want to ask how the pandemic has changed your life as an entrepreneur or any lessons learned from that.
I'll continue so before pandemic, I used to own a restaurant and we used to be at the Seaport Farmers Market. We used to operate 7 days a week. And suddenly this pandemic came. I was in Jamaica and I heard you cannot open tomorrow, Saturday. And I was like, why can I not open? And it was like a shock. For a few months, I could not pay my rent. It was actually big because just a few months ago, my husband had left his job to help me in my business, in my growing business. And now we didn't have like a regular paycheck coming in. We didn't know what to do. So it was a very crucial time for us. And then Sobeys called me and they said, we want to take your products all across Atlantic Canada. So that was where I pivoted from a regular restaurant. I changed to a completely product-based industry. which I didn't know at that time, that how much more complications am I getting into? But that was a life-changing moment for me in 2020. Yeah.
I continue to be traumatized. Yeah, so long story short, I would say, we learned a lot of things through the course of COVID, and a lot of that came down to really making sure that we were focusing on the products for us that were aligned with what was happening in the world at the time. And what I mean by that is early COVID days, like April 2020, that's when we really started ramping up our granola bar mix, because people weren't grabbing and going as much as they were previous to that. So we really leaned into our baking mix line, because everybody and their dog was making banana bread and sourdough and all that stuff. So we leaned into our baking mix line at that point and really grew that part of the business through the early days of COVID. But then, people's shopping habits kind of normalized, and our bars, we started growing that once again. So we had lots of hiccups in production. Of course, production was challenging to schedule with everything that was going on. And the lasting effects that I would say we're kind of still navigating right now are price hikes and supply chain and freight. Those two industries have been like deeply impacted by COVID and staffing shortages. So the ripple effects live on, I would say. But we are, just kind of continuing to ensure, this is one of the very unsexy things about business, but Jamie, you've touched on it a bit, is just in any business, you need to make sure that your margins can handle the ups and downs and lumps and bumps of whatever the world is going to throw your way. So that's been a big focus for us in the last little while, ensuring that, we have enough money after all of our supplies are paid for, after our people and our production is paid for, there's enough money left over to, run the business and weather any of those, surprises that come down the line. So not super sexy, but it's important for sure. Yeah.
Plexiglass, 6-foot distancing, people that wanted to wear their masks, people that didn't want to wear their masks because it was safer to not wear a mask, store counts, people not wanting to come into the store and then taking product out to their car. It was just learning on the fly. And it was tough because we don't have any toilet paper to sell. We don't have paper towel. How can we have all the paper towel gone? Well, people just came in and bought it all. And it was, can we get more? No, supply chains were screwed up. You couldn't order product. And it just every day there was a little something different. But I would say for us, it was managing the customer expectations. And we have a very diverse crowd that comes into our store at Organic Earth Market. And some people just did not want to wear masks. And it was tough. It was really tough. And other people did. And you had people coming in the store, and then we were supposed to be the police almost and say, well, this person, and they had to deal on the front line. And then I stepped in, and I was more on the floor or working cash or whatever. As an owner, you've got to step in, support your employees. But it was challenging, and it was almost seemed like every week there was something different to deal with. But I think what it did is it made you closer to your business and figuring out different policies and procedures, and what are we going to do if this happens, and what do we do if that happens, and try to be a little bit more prepared. But sometimes it was just a pure state of chaos.
Do you have contingency plans now because of COVID? Like, is that something that you think about? Like, is something else coming? Like, do we, more than normal, do you have like contingency plans?
I wouldn't say I have contingency plans. I just know what happened to us. And then it's kind of in the back of my head that, okay, if these 3 people don't show up because they have COVID, how do we deal with that? What happens to this department? Okay, we have somebody to open the door, we have somebody at cash, we have somebody to do this. Okay, we can survive. Maybe like stocking up on a few items that we could have done, but anyway, yeah, it's tough. Nobody can plan for that, really.
I started post-pandemic, but a lot of what the three of you have said informed how I was going to launch my business. So I offer delivery as part of my business service, just because a lot of people pickup is, gas went really high. It was great for a long time during the pandemic, and then it got really high. So a lot of people, they didn't want to run around. They didn't want to have to come and pick it up. They didn't know who, like, do I want to go to somebody's house I don't know? So that informed kind of like how my pricing option and even what I offer. I don't necessarily have a set product list because availability changes daily in the grocery stores, and even like the markets and other vendors that I get products through. So inform me that I would probably never offer like the same set ingredients every week or every month, because you can't, because it's just not available all the time. A lot of items are even seasonal, but even when the season comes around, it's limited product availability. Like I said, and even like a lot of people weren't going out, they weren't going in the store, they didn't want to go anywhere. So that informed me that like delivery was probably going to be a huge part of my business and a huge convenience. And so far, a big win with marketing with clients, that they're like, oh, you can just bring it to me. I don't have to go anywhere after work if I have to leave the house, or if I don't want to leave the house, I don't have to at all. So either like I can leave it on your doorstep if you're comfortable with me putting food on the ground, don't recommend it. Or I just meet you at the door and hand it off. So a lot of what the three of you said informed that, I wasn't going to be just like a one way business, that I would be able to be flexible and let like clients know like it's okay if things change, or like flexibility in how you want to pick up your food or have your food arranged, it's fine. So like, wearing masks and gloves when preparing food, things like that, and being upfront with that, that kind of informed how to move forward. So if anything were to come again, hopefully it doesn't, I think I would be prepared. It might just be knowing like maybe less volume, because people maybe are cash strapped, or like we're seeing now, people don't really want to spend money all the time. Or if they do, they want to make sure they're spending their money the right way. So it's kind of just being prepared that if something happens, you just manage expectations as they come.
Just one thing on the delivery and the with the price of fuel. So on my wholesale produce company, we decided we're just going to keep things simple, and our price is our price. No delivery fee, no surcharge, nothing. Just let's do this. This is before the spikes in fuel. So I get talking to some of my guys, and they're like, Jamie, we're actually losing money on some deliveries because of the price of gas. And I said, what? Yeah, but that's our thing. Like our marketing says, like our price is our price. Like you can't charge a surcharge now. And they said, well, what are we going to do? I said, let's just let it ride out. So some of my competitors put a delivery fee in, or a fuel surcharge. So I actually picked up customers because I didn't charge a fuel surcharge, and that in effect ended up offsetting losing on a few of the smaller customers, which was completely unpredicted. I had no idea what was going to happen. I just knew if I let it ride a little bit, I would see what would happen. And it worked out great. And we still haven't added a delivery fee or a fuel surcharge.
You're also right, but just think of yourself as a consumer for a minute. Like, I will not buy anything online that I have to pay for shipping. So even if you're buried in like 500 feet in, if it's not free shipping, I won't buy it. So
But
it can be expensive, but build it in, but I will not pay for shipping.
The problem was, so my trucks coming in from Montreal and Toronto with the fresh produce, all of them put the surcharges on. So I'm getting nailed on one side with these surcharges and not charging them on the other side. It was tricky, but anyway, the price came down a little bit.
Thank you. Our next question is, looking at where you are in your career at the moment, if you were to restart, is there anything you would do differently? Which I know is the big question for all entrepreneurs, but
I'll get this out of the way. I wouldn't. For me, I wasn't the guy that was going to start from scratch and bring a product to market. I knew I had to get out there and work and get some experience, and seeing the company that I was with see success and see failures and figure out how to do things. For me, I needed that background to enable me to jump into business. So I wouldn't have done anything different. I would have worked, I don't want to say a normal job, a regular job for a while to get some experience. And then that gave me the kind of the strength and the know-how to jump out on my own.
Okay. I think for me, it is, I think I will listen and understand what other people are trying to say. I did not have a very corporate background. I didn't do a lot of jobs. So that was a disadvantage on my side, which I feel if I had worked for someone else and I would have understood how other people run their businesses and would have come from a management side, it would have been a different scenario. But I think I should have listened to what other people who were at management positions and tried to get a mentor at a very early stage would have really helped me. So my actually negative side is finance, because that's not my background. So I think if someone would have actually told me how to manage or cash flow, like these are really important things in your life, it would have made me like good at a good starting point rather than coming in between and understanding why am I still not making money. Well, that's because you're spending more than you're making more money. So if someone would have explained me with the cash flow and the finance side, it would have been great. So yeah, that would have been the changing point.
The biggest thing that I will say, and I've, like I mentioned, I started this in 2012, so I've been doing it for 10 years. I spent a lot of time doubting myself, and I spent a lot of time not feeling confident in my intuition in the business. And I spent a lot of time asking everybody else for their opinion about what I should do. And that there's like, not to say
You are totally
no, mentorship is super important. Don't get me wrong. I like, and it is important, but it's, I would say be really selective and find somebody that you really trust and whose mentorship is really relevant, not only to the type of business that you're in, but something that I would say arguably is almost even more important is the scale of your business. So somebody who's experienced in startup and small business, it could, like, we've had mentors who are, you know, executives at Loblaws, and I'm like, they're giving me advice that is super blind spots on what it is to be a small scale food entrepreneur, right? Great advice for Kraft, Heinz, Pepsi, whatever. Not great advice for Made with Local, you know? So it's really making sure that your mentors are the right mentors, and that means industry and scale. And also that you trust yourself too, because sometimes there's decisions that only you can make, because it's your baby and it's your vision and it's your life. And there's been a lot of times where I've just, you know, felt like I've thrown myself out in a million different directions trying to find an answer, when really, if I just, you know, trusted your gut. Yeah. I've got myself into some expensive pickles by going down a route that somebody I thought was, you know, had a very important piece of advice for me, and went down that path and turned out not to be the right path. So that's my, not to completely contradict you, Shivani.
I'm just thinking
we are complementary to
I
each
know.
other.
I think listening everyone, but doing what you feel is the correct way. That should be the correct thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say definitely to echo what you said, I wouldn't have talked myself out of it for so long. I've been presented with the thought that I should have started a business like early 20s. And I was like, no, I'm not business savvy. I don't know how to do that. I'm not doing that. I've always been a great think tank, like could always, you know, you give me something, what do I do? I'd be like, oh, do ABCD, execute it this way. You might get these results going. Like, you should just do business. That's great. And I'm like, no, I don't. To me, I was like, it's super risky. I don't know business. I very much had a corporate mindset of what business was. And I was like, I'm not made for like a corporation in order to do that. That's not for me. So definitely don't talk yourself out of it if you think you can do it. My brother says, you know, that famous quote, if you think you can or you can't, you're right either way. So do it. And the second thing would be, I'd be less compromising. Specifically with pricing. I'm a woman in business, so people expect you to be very compromising and very nice. And business is not always nice. It doesn't mean you're rude, but it doesn't mean that you can let other people or let them try to walk over you. So it would be those two things, just to trust your gut. Like everybody said, go with what you know. Don't talk yourself out of it, because you can do it. Anybody can do it. It's just hard when you start. So, you know, be prepared for that. And then again, just stick to your values with your business. Stick to your pricing. Most times, if your no is a no, do not let people try to talk you down. And you know, if you decide to that, then you do it, but go with your gut, I will say.
Thank you. This next question kind of rolls into what we just discussed, but essentially with the group of students here in the room, how many people are graduating within the next, say, 2 years, maybe? Quite a few, most people. Yeah. What is one tangible piece of advice that you would give to our students if they're looking to start their own business once they graduate, or maybe even before?
I don't know if this is relevant now, but I would say, know what the bank is looking for before you jump in with both feet. So I made the mistake of you're buying a business, you're a chartered accountant, you've seen lots of businesses, you've done lots of deals with other companies, and then all of a sudden it's you, and you go to your bank and you're like, okay, this is a great business. Look, here's the price. Here's what I need from you. Here's what I'm willing to put in. And then you get rejected. And it's like, well, now what do I do? I've already committed over here to buy this business. Well, you go to the next bank and that bank says no. And you're like, what's wrong? Why is this? This is a great business, it's good cash flow and all that. But a lot of banks want to see hard assets. And when you're trying to finance cash flow businesses, it's difficult. But to take my time back, it would have saved a lot of headaches had I known what boxes I had to tick from the banking point of view to know what I had available to me. So there were a lot of stressful nights figuring out, do I have the money? Do I not have the money? And it all came together. But the banking thing, I don't know if you guys have experienced that, but you go in, you think this should be easy, and it wasn't.
We've actually grown Made with Local without any support from any of the big banks. And not to say we don't have debt. We've taken debt, we've gotten grants and all that stuff, but we've never taken like a product from a big bank. Thankfully in Nova Scotia, if you're thinking about something in the way of a food or beverage business, there's lots of opportunities to align with different funding opportunities. There's an organization called FarmWorks that does low interest debt. There's lots of kind of community based, I would say, opportunities to get your hands on some capital if that's something that you need to start your business. But because I'm scared shitless of the big banks. Like, I don't like dealing with them. Not because our business isn't attractive to them, but the values of Made with Local are also more aligned with working with, community rooted partners for those funding opportunities if and when we can. So my piece would be, I feel like it's a bit cliche, but then there's two things that you want to find, like the overlap between, and that is something that you are really good at and really passionate about, and something that the market actually needs. Like, is there truly a need for this thing that you're making? It's product market fit. It's like, it's a very basic concept in entrepreneurship, but lots of people are good at certain things, but does anybody care? How do you monetize your hobby? Is there enough people out there willing to pay what you need to be paid to run a business to make this thing that you're making? And I think that's sometimes where, you see a lot of failure in small businesses, is that somebody's extremely passionate about a certain product that they make or a service they can offer. And they are really, really good at it, but there's just not enough people in their geographic area or wherever they can reach to be able to spin this thing into a viable business. So research is important. And for us, this is my favorite pun ever, like our literal market research was at the market, like at the farmer's market. We sat up at a table that was this big, and every single weekend for 2.5 years, we had hundreds of people walk by and give us real-time feedback about the different flavors of our bars, the pricing, who they share them with, when they eat them, what they love them for, the flavors they don't like, the things that they didn't, other feedback that was on the critical side. And it just allowed us to iterate really quickly in those early days to then, when we were ready to kind of go out into the larger world of grocery, we had already talked to thousands of customers telling us exactly what they were willing to pay for and what they weren't willing to pay for. So that's invaluable. And if you have the opportunity to test your product in that way, it's absolutely worth doing.
Just to sort of pivot on there, so this entire group, or the majority of this group, they have an assignment due on Thursday on crowdfunding.
Okay.
Like, did any of you crowdfund, or did you consider it?
We haven't yet.
How do you feel about it?
We haven't yet. We've considered doing like equity crowdfunding.
It means there's equity debt or donation, I guess.
Yeah, we've considered doing the equity stuff because we've done a couple of, we're now in our second funding round right now. And we've thought about doing equity crowdfunding, but have not gone that way for yet. I don't know that we will. It's something that I feel like when it comes to equity, there's like security stuff that sometimes can feel a little bit daunting, but it's not something I would rule out, because I do think in practice and in theory, the concept of crowdfunding really aligns with Made with Local as being like a community driven business. I love the concept. We just haven't gone that way yet.
Experts by Thursday.
All right, you guys let me know if we should do it or not. Amazing.
Crowdfunding, sorry, no, nah. I have thought about it many times, but then I get distracted with other things. So no. Oh, what was your last question? I totally forgot.
Just one piece of like practical,
Okay.
tangible advice for
Yes.
students.
Okay, yeah, I think Sheena covered all the points. When I used to be sitting at your place, and the panelists over here, they used to say, focus on your business plan. And I was like, why are they talking about business plan? I love this product and this is my hobby. And if I love it, everyone loves it. No. Please do your market research. Please don't talk to just your friends and family. They love you, and yeah, they'll tell you what exactly they want to hear. Ask your, I don't know, the person who is walking on the street, and just randomly ask him, what is your opinion that I am taking out, I don't know, ready to eat meal? I'm just giving you an example. So ask him or her that, will you buy this product? Ask 20 different people coming out of Sobeys, will you buy this product? If you don't have, like, go to internet. There are, I don't think so at this point, but yeah, but market research is very important before stepping into any business, and starting small. Like Sheena and me both started very small with farmers market, and I started like meal delivery services. Then I got into farmers market. Then I got into trade show. So it's not like I start my business 2021. I started my business in 2014, and now I have arrived here. So yeah, that's it.
To add to the list of advice, I would say register your business. A lot of people overlook that, or they don't see the importance in it, but registering your business opens you up to be able to sometimes receive funding, whether it's a loan or not, or even grants, but also it opens you up to a new host of clientele. Some clients, like I've dealt with firms and schools, and they can necessarily bring items in unless you are registered. It's because of how their corporation works. So registering your business also allows you to, like, if you have expenses related to your business, you can submit them for taxes. If you're just you're not registered and you're kind of just running it, that can lead to trouble too. Just if something comes up with your product or anything like that, you just want to make sure you have it backed and registered. A lot of people overlook that, or they think they're not big enough. You don't have to have an HST number, but just register it with the province you're in to at least have that way. You own your business, you own the name, it's yours. No one else can come in and take it. And as far as crowdsourcing, I did crowdsourcing or crowdfunding to be able to register my business to pay for it. I have a pretty tight budget. The bank is great. Definitely know what you need to take to the bank to get funding, because personal and business finance completely separate. Your personal credit is your business credit when you go to apply. So if your personal credit is not in a good place, there will be no business credit. I found that out myself. Like I said, I work on the personal side, but definitely reach out to somebody if you know at your bank. My information, I think, is on the site, so I don't mind fielding questions, either like through my website or what have you, but definitely figure out what you need. And then I did crowdsource. So I put up a GoFundMe to kind of get the money to register.
Equity, loan, equity, debt, or donation?
It was donation. So I had like a stranger and like 2 family members, and they contributed like a majority of what I needed to register the business. I reached back out to them. I was like, hey, I did it. Thank you so much. La, la, la. But there's no shame in asking. Obviously, as someone who's still in startup, I forget that. So I give yourself grace, because I'm starting and I'm like, I should have A, B, C, D. And I'm like, no, you're 8 months in. Why would you have that? You don't know. So ask for help if you need help, if you don't have a mentor, and you don't know what you don't know. So be patient and give yourself grace.
So a complete stranger donated just to help you start your business. Wow, that's amazing.
I just made a GoFundMe and put it, I think I don't use Facebook, but I had to like reset my password to log in. I put it on there in my Instagram, and that's it. Yeah.
That's amazing. It's really cool. Perfect. So that's all the questions for me today, but we just wanted to turn to the audience to see if we have any questions from students, and it can be for all of our panelists or directed at one person, but please ask away.
What was like the first step? The first step for me, I remember registering my business. That was the first step, and that time that step was itself very crucial. I started very small, so I actually opened so I had a marketing background, so I opened just like a Facebook page. So a Facebook page, and then I understood, yes, there's a market for it. And that's when slowly I started. So when I started meal delivery service, it was only for young professionals or students who were immigrants. And I started with only one person, and that became to like 20 people in a day. Yeah. So just start slow. Don't just, I know we're all excited to start the business, but don't take big steps. That's what I feel. Yeah.
I feel like our first few months were setting up the brand. Like that's more of my place in my business is on the marketing and brand side. So getting your socials in order, and then deciding how you're going to launch out to market. So not necessarily farmers market, but into the world. So what we first did, because at that time, the Seaport market had like a wait list for vendors. So we put our name on the wait list to get in as a vendor there. And then we started just picking out community events to be part of. So at that time there was like, I think it's still running, but Open City Halifax, or Open Streets, what's it called? Open City.
Open
Yeah,
City.
Open City. So we launched at Open City in 2012, and we just popped up a table at a couple different local businesses and like sold our stuff on the street, obviously had that going out on social media, and just started drumming up. There was also like a Yelp event that we went to at the time, and just started popping up in more places to start building out some buzz. And of course, all of that feeds into your social media, and you're able to start kind of building the brand from there, because that's a huge part of it. And then I'm more on like the admin side. Yeah, you have to register with the Registry of Joint Stocks. Ideally, from a fairly early point, you're separating your personal banking and your business banking in some way, like just set up a basic checking account with a bank, your same bank if you like, and just start trying to put some separation in place, because then you'll actually understand, okay, is this thing in and of itself actually making any money, or am I just sort of mashing it all up with my own personal stuff? And it's really hard to figure out what's going on here. Those would be some of like the first like 3 months. I would say those would be some really early goals, is get your admin and finance in order, and then and start building the brand. Yeah.
I did it a bit backwards, which is why I was like, register your business, because I launched in December and didn't register it. I was like, I didn't quite get the concept again. I had nobody to kind of ask to kind of what do I do? So I launched, and then I registered about 3 months later. So I would say definitely register, but it was more so like getting everything set up as far as like separate socials, separate like email, and then thinking like, what do I need? Like, do I need a website? Do I need Instagram? Do I need Facebook? Like, where's my market? Figuring that out. And then, so I would say start small, like set your expectations. Nothing really takes off overnight. Very rarely. It's very glamorized online. Business is very sexy. It's very cool. Everybody's rich. But nobody's rich starting out unless you bought the business. Maybe you might be, I don't know, but not always, but I'm saying it's, there's a lot of grinding that takes place, and the grind is not sexy and it's not fun. And, you might, have moments of time like, I don't know if I can do this. That's for everybody to decide the time, but definitely start small, set your expectations out. Like, let's just see, and go from there, but register first, and then check your markets, like she said.
Awesome. Did we have any more questions from the room? Go ahead.
To hide your stretch? Okay.
Not well. The last couple of years in my business have been the hardest for sure, because we've been growing really quickly plus COVID, and I've got like 2 little kids, and there's just like a lot on the go. But one like mantra that I try and ingrain in my own day-to-day practice is that like, if you like, rest is productive. And I know that that sounds like a bit of an oxymoron, but like, if you don't rest, you don't take some time and like really protect certain amounts of your time to rest and unplug from the business, whether that just be for an hour in the evenings or on a Sunday or whatever, that's so critical to being able to give your full self to the business when you're actually in it. Because what can happen, and this, I've done it several times, is go through cycles of burnout where you're working on the business literally 70 or 80 hours a week, but then you're becoming less and less productive, right? Because you're burnout and you're tired and you're forgetful, and it's just, you think you're working more, but you're not working smarter. And that's something for me that I've had to like, kick my own butt about at times, is just remembering that rest is productive and protecting certain times to be able to just recharge. So for me, that's like, screen free time, given that I am like, and the marketing and brand side really heavily in my business. I spend a lot of time on social media, and it rots my brain, as I think it does for all of us, at a certain point in time. So taking time away from my screens, time in nature, exercise, obviously, and nourishing yourself with the food that your body actually is going to be able to be nourished by. So it's very, very basic advice, but it really works. Yeah.
For me, it's just making a list of things that I need to accomplish. I'm kind of a list guy, and I make the list, and it's a big list, and I say, okay, well, what do I really need to do, and what are things that I'd like to do, but I can kind of push off. And I'm a sticky note guy too, so my desk has sticky notes, and I just like crumpling them up and throwing them away. What you realize is you can only do so much, so you either delegate and get somebody else to do it, or you just push those things off to another day. And sometimes when you make your list, it's like, well, really, okay, I just do this, and this, and then it solves itself. So I just when I make my list, I know what I have on my plate, and then I go from there, as opposed to just showing up in the morning and say, okay, what do I have today? I like to have a little bit more of a plan. And then when you are off, I have 3 kids. You try to be present with your kids. When your kid, your 7-year-old says, "Daddy, you're on the phone." Like, what, you're on the phone, and because what you're doing is you're watching him ride his bike, and you're on the phone, doing a little call, and he falls and you don't realize. So that's hard for me, because I'm on 24/7. I get a new customer here, I can do this, and but you really have to try to take the time to when you're at home, be at home.
Funny you say about the phone. So I ran into one of my friends who owns a business on the street, and it was her and her son, and he was like 5 years old, and he had like a toy cell phone. And so I'm just talking to his mom, they're there, and so he's talking on the phone, and his mother's like, "William, can you excuse me? This is an important call." That's what the little boys are doing.
Well, and the other, and
So
on that,
I've heard that 100 times.
well, and you can set some boundaries as well. So some of my customers have my personal cell phone number, so they'll text me and say, "I'm in a real jam. Can you send me 4 cases of tomatoes? Can you send me," instead of emailing the company and somebody deal with it. So then I'm taking that text and I'm sending it to my guy, and I got to get an invoice and all that. So I sometimes I just say, okay, just set some boundaries, and because you want to do everything. You want to, that's what my mentality is, and you just can't.
It sounds like prioritizing stuff, like there's so much to do.
Yes.
Like even me, so I work full time actually in a medium-sized business. So we were started 10 years ago. So I'm in it, and then I teach. At the moment, I'm teaching 5 courses this term.
That's a lot.
So like I just don't sleep. So it is
Lots of
what it is.
coffee.
So I know a lot of it. Although we've got to the point where we sell through resellers, so we don't actually sell it. Everything's through
There's a funny story. Just today morning, one of my consultants, he asked me, so his question was, how many days are you open in your factory? So he asked, how many days do you work? And I said, 7 days. So I thought he's asking me, how many days are you working? So the answer was 7 days, but No, I totally agree with Sheena, and I do actually both. So I shut myself off at 9 o'clock. I do not pick up anyone's phone after 6 o'clock. I do not care. If you, it's like even some CEO, even like Justin Trudeau is calling me, I will not pick up your phone after 6 o'clock. And the list is really important. And my mother asked me to do something. She lives with me. So I tell her, yeah, I'll add it to the list.
I work out 6 days a week. So in the mornings, I'm a morning person now somehow. But working at that really sets my day pretty good. So like don't do it Saturdays. It's my one day, but like Sunday to Friday, I'm in the gym like 7 in the morning for about an hour and a half. But also like just shutting things off at night at a certain time is really important. It's like a lot of my stuff is automated. So orders come through, they're automated. Some clients do have my number. So like, oh man, last minute jam at like 11:30 at night. And I'm like, well, you don't want the order now. Like I'll answer you in the morning when you need it. So it is like about setting boundaries. Super fan of lists. I have lists. I color code my calendars. So I have 3. I have like a tangible one. I have the whiteboard one, then I have my phone one. And it's color coded for like business stuff, personal, but that kind of being organized will go a long way. Like doing the little stuff in the beginning. And I'll say your business will expose that, your weaknesses. So kind of take stock of that, do quick inventory. Your business will expose where your weak points are. And that's one thing you don't want to kind of show up through your business is like, I was a late person often, and I had to get that like really quickly. So being organized, prioritizing, and knowing when and what to delegate is important. So you can manage stress in your personal life, that will transfer over to your business life. Just figure out what works for you, what's productive, and just apply that across the board.
Thank you. Did we have any more questions from the audience? No? Perfect. Any questions from Greg?
Talk about the round or is it, yeah.
Well, if you don't mind, you can tell me.
Well, I can talk for 2 minutes about what it looks like to fundraise. So we in our business last year, we decided about 18 months ago, we decided to raise some capital for the first time. So we had only taken, like friendly debt and some grant money up until that point for growth. So we did a family and friends round, which is pretty much what it sounds like. We went to those in our network, family, friends, to buy equity in Made with Local and come on board and help us cash flow kind of through the next big growth spurt that we were on. So we raised not quite 600K that time. And then what we've done recently is we were set out actually, this is an example of where you have to pivot at times based on what's happening in the world. But we in early 2022 set out to raise a Series A. So we were going to raise a few $1,000,000 bucks. The market had other plans for us, obviously. Well, I shouldn't say obviously. If you didn't know, the year previous to that, 2021, there was money flowing in deals like crazy, right? There was lots of food and beverage brands getting big deals, big valuations. It was kind of like a bit of a heyday in the equity raise space. That came to a screeching halt in early 2022. So where we were thinking it was going to be fairly easy to go out and raise a couple $1,000,000 bucks, it turned out to not be. People were starting to kind of tighten their purse string, so to speak. So we switched gears, and instead of raising a Series A round of a few $1,000,000 bucks, we decided that we were going to raise a smaller amount of money in sort of, they call it like a bridge round, to kind of keep us going through the Costco launch that we're in the middle of right now, through launching into 900 Shoppers Drug Marts, through building our own manufacturing facility, through growing our team. The last year for us is like quadrupled the growth of our business, and we were able to raise enough capital through some follow along. So people who came in the first round came in again, and then some new investors to help us cash flow through the next big pieces of growth. We did take that on the family and friends round. Yeah, we took that, but we were approved for another NSBI large grant at our manufacturing facility recently, so that negated us from being able to use that on the second round. But yeah.
Well, thank you all so much. We really appreciate you taking the time to be here and sharing your knowledge, and we'll give a big round of applause. Thank you. And I wanted to mention to the students in the room, but also online as well, we have contact information for all of our panelists. I'm sure we'll be able to connect if any questions did come up in the future. Yes. So thank you again. Wonderful. Yes, definitely.